Abuse of spouse, battered housewives in the streets, in the homes. I have one solution, and it's the only solution. If you can't agree, agree to disagree. Otherwise, they will read on the tombstone, return if possible. The name of my song is entitled Runaway. That you love, she bursting with joy. She give you a baby boy. Little did she know you wanted a man. Your next lady friend couldn't make the grade. No, she said I'm wondering what to do. How to get away. How to get away. How to get away from you. Daughters run away. Fathers run away. Lady cat does run away when you're treating them bad. Daughters run away. Fathers run away. What happened to you? Woman, you could run away too. Get out. You went and you put gold teeth in she mouth. As all you get vex, you coughing it out. You making she shame all over the place. Man, you is a damn disgrace. Not even the church, no, she cannot go. She begged for little love, you telling she no. And she frightened like hell to make up a plan. How to get away. How to get away. How to get away from you. Oh, does run away. How does run away. Lady cat does run away when man cheating them bad. How does run away. Cat does run away. Don't say the man squeal. Woman, put two wheels on your heels. Get out. Turn you round. And don't turn back. Run. Take your child and run. Back to mama. Back to papa. It ain't easy to be a battered wife and getting abused the rest of your life. When family come, you just have to smile and pretend that he's so nice. When he drink and drunk, well, now we can't be. You just have to wonder if he killed three. His licks left and right and all in your head. Woman, run away. Look, woman, run away. Run before he kill you dead. Run. Daughters run away. Cow run away. Lady cat does run away. Man cheating them bad. Hawk does run away. Duck does run away. Tell you, woman, you could run away too. Get out. Now this verse that's coming up is for all the men that's listening. This is a serious matter. Listen. If you know you don't treat your woman nice, start checking up now. You take my advice. Don't let she have cause to fly out the coop. Woman never run from good. No. When she give you food, just tell she it's real. Hold the lady hand when she cross the street. Just do as I say, handle she with care. And she'd never run away. She would never run away. She would never run away from you. No. Because dogs run away. Hawkers run away. Jackasses run away. When man cheated them. Cactus run away. Them dogs run away. She would stop and squeal. She would put two
The older she gets, the sweeter her voice becomes. A former member of the Matra Dimes, very experienced female entertainer, Calypso Queen of the World on 5 occasions. Would you please put your hand together? Let's welcome singing Francine.
Thank you. Hate, greed, color, racism is destroying the universe. I am totally against that. The title of my song, Equal Rights. That's my contribution for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Equal rights. I've studied days and nights, I've studied blacks and whites on the question of equal rights. I say I studied days and nights, studied blacks and whites on the question of equal rights. Well, after careful consideration, meditation has brought me to one conclusion. The old, the young, the weak and the strong, only fighting a battle of equal wrong. Because everyone is born equal, with an equal right to be born. And everyone is equal, so don't treat each other with scorn. The color of your skin doesn't mean a thing. Live and love and be satisfied. You already have your rights, so there is no need to fight. The right to live is the right to die. Thank you. It is a simple case that we cannot deface. We all belong to the human race. So you can tell your bud, we all are made of mud, equivalently equal by flesh and blood. So what's the use of all this confusion, discrimination and fight for worldly possession? The rich, the poor, the weak and the small are equal in size when the master call. That's right. Everyone is born equal, with an equal right to be born. And everyone is equal, so don't treat your brother with scorn. We have the same earth to live, the same life to give, and yet we will not unite. We ought to be ashamed to play a dirty game and then talking about equal rights. Some folks may think me rude, now I must conclude with those who show such gratitude. The breath of life we share, the sun, the moon, and air are equal rights given to us here. We may not be the same in culture, skill, and name, or in habits, fortune, and fame. No matter who, why, what, when, and where. Now show me a man that's unequal here. Everyone is born equal, with an equal right to be born. And everyone is equal, so don't treat each other with scorn. No matter what you possess, well, you don't have to guess. The master said, let there be light. Someday you will agree, just take time and see. Everyone has an equal life. Now there are foolish men who know but still pretend. The laws of nature try to amend. No matter what you feel, the truth you can't conceal. And for sure, what is real is real. We may not be the same in culture, skill, and name, or in habits, fortune, and fame. No matter who, why, what, when, and where, just show me one man that is equal here. None. Everyone is born equal, with an equal right to be born. And everyone is equal, so don't treat your sister with scorn. We may differ in looks, in language, in shape, in ways, or even in height. But please don't forget, in life or in death, everyone has an equal life. Boom. Love is the answer. Love is the only answer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And I love you.
Singing Francine, making a plea for equality and equity, not just being equal. Everyone is born equal, with an equal right to be free. The question is the right. It's the right. You have the right to be free. But do you enjoy that right? That's where the concept of civil rights come from. Civil rights, the right that everyone should enjoy. And when you do not enjoy those rights because of your skin color or because of whatever difference you have from others, then that's a violation of your civil rights. We make a distinction between civil rights and civil liberties. Civil liberties are those liberties that are conferred. They say God-given. The right to free speech, the right to religion. They say those are confirmed by the state. They're conferred by the state. And so we call them liberties. Why don't take liberty with me? Civil liberties are those rights that are conferred by the state. They say the right to free speech, right to liberty, right to religion, etc., etc. And civil rights, again, are those things conferred by the state that some people get and some people don't get. Some theorists make the distinction between God-given rights. They say all rights are God-given rights. All rights are God-given rights. And so the state has a right to protect those rights, not to give or take them, but to protect them. Singing Francine, equal rights. And before that, a very important right, and that's female rights, women's rights, making a play. Woman, don't stay and take abuse. Don't stay and take abuse. If you're getting beat, run away. Run away, and then after that, equal rights. Good evening to you and welcome to Politics 101, Monday night, the beginning of the week. Equality, equality, equality. We want to talk a little bit about that tonight. Lots happening. There was a lot of rain over the weekend. And we see what happens over and over again. Over and over again. The rain falls, Georgetown floods. The rain falls, Georgetown floods. The fastest growing economy in the world, Georgetown floods. One of the highest GDPs in the world, Georgetown floods. The rain just have to skin up its face. Georgetown floods. Last week, of course, we dealt with the issue of police action against citizens. We have the Jordan Payne issue at Haslington. And on Friday, we had Mr. Paul Slow and Dr. Dexter Todd here. And we went through that issue of police overreach.
I don't mind. I know my brother my best in it, but I don't care.
All
This
right.
is my rights, and if I
Go on,
don't
Dr. Todd.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon. You know, myself and attorney at law Ronald Daniels came with the family of Payne to speak with the commander. We had a very cordial meeting with the commander, and we were
I need your
promised
hand.
at the end of the day that the police will
Let me show you
continue
the
to do a
hand.
very thorough
Put your hand over
investigation.
there.
Now, while on our way out, we met Mr. Reynolds, and Mr. Reynolds was relaying to us what happened only last night at this very station, Covendon Police Station. Now, the police alleged that he committed a minor traffic offense, and they escorted him to the Covendon Police Station. Now, he, of course, asked the police, what is the offense, etc., and why is it that I have to be here, etc. Police got upset, did not want him to video the interaction. Now, I want to take you back to what the PPP's policy under the former Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Ben, had said that that civilians have a right, and if they want to record the interaction with the police, nothing is wrong with that. I can tell you, the minister then was right, and on the side of the law, there is no law barring you from videoing your interaction with the police. Now, the police did not want Mr. Reynolds to video their interaction and demanded that he delete the video, and was fighting him for his own phone in the station, took out a taser and began to tase him. Now, this is the level. Now the concern this young man has is that they don't know his medical condition. And look how they're using that instrument in which we spend millions of taxpayers' dollars to give to the police. They are now using that indiscriminately, unlawfully, unjustifiably. They're using it against the civilians. And this is the ideal problem that we have with the conduct of our police, some of our police men and women, when they are not acting professionally. Now, we thought that it's best that we go and let you know what is happening, because I want this young man to share his experience. We just met him, and he identified us immediately and shared his problem with us. And if we don't stand together, that's why we're saying this is not only about the pain, this is about treatment of civilians and about all human beings when they come into contact with the police. And we have to hold the authorities, the ones who are higher up in the force, we have to hold them accountable. They have to get their rogue element, those junior ranks, they have to pull them under control. Mr. Reynolds, speak to the people and say exactly what happened.
Speak. You speak from right there.
Yeah. After they brought me into the station last night, right? I was sitting there. The two officers that I came in with, they walk and go at the back. Then the next one come back in front. Then he go back outside. Well, all I was time going, I had to go home to my family, right? When he do come back, he picked up the book and he started to write. So what I did, I took my phone out and I started to record, which he didn't know. And I asked him, what am I being charged for? He said nothing, which I have the video. I will send it to you guys.
Mhm.
I have the video in my phone, right? When he looked up and realized that I was videoing, he started fighting me for the phone. I refused to give him my phone. I asked him if I'm being charged, only if I'm being charged and detained, then I should give him my phone. That's what I know. He fight me for the phone. I keep the phone away from him, and I lock the phone. When I lock the phone, he take out his taser and he tased me twice, telling me to delete the video. I take out the phone and I delete the video, which my phone have recyclable. So just how I delete it and I think it was there, I think it on back. Now, when the other officer come in front and asked what really going on, he turned and he said that I chuck you, right? Now, what am I saying? If I chuck you, right, the government, like they mentioned, spend millions of dollars to provide body cam. If you're dealing with, like he called me last night, a criminal, right? Why don't you have your body cam on? Why did he turn your body cam off to come and fight me for my phone and then tase me twice to delete a video? There's what we taxpayers' money is going for. I think the police is to serve and protect. I didn't know it's to assault and kill. No, they don't know my medical health. If I'd have dropped dead in this station last night, what would happen to my 6 kids? What would happen to my pregnant wife? Now, I'm really hurt, and that's why I'm here today, because I want this to be resolved. We need, in our police force, we need better. I mean, like, with that guy I dealt with last night, he needs counseling, or this is not the job for him, because they will take innocent lives.
You know, as I said, we were on our way out.
Could imagine what it
And
did,
we're
Jaja.
just meeting Mr. Reynolds for the first time. But you can tell the type of treatment some of our people in this country are faced with. Now we are going to ensure that we support Mr. Reynolds, because this type of conduct of the police was clearly unprofessional and he should be held accountable for it. All right? Thank you so much.
Thank you. You could imagine. We got your number. Talk to doctors out there. You can imagine if this man was tased just for his phone. You can imagine what they would have done to Otis Jordan inside of this place, say so. You can imagine what they would have done to Otis, known as Jaja, inside of this place. We have to. Listen, like I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words because we're coming out to leave this place. Just met with the commander. To meet up with this young man. You can imagine what they would have done to Otis inside of this place. You can imagine. But it's raining. I gotta save this phone because y'all know I cannot afford to get my phone damaged. I love you all. Stay sweet, and we will talk later.
So, attorney at law Dexter Todd correctly said that they exposed that what some may call a little incident. He said this is what some people in this country have to go through every day. And by some people he means there are in general poor people, but in particular the Black poor, the African Guyanese poor. That's what they have to go through every day. Imagine this is in the wake of the Jordan Payne incident, where a young man died in police custody right there on the East Coast. He was locked up right there at Cove and John. You would think that policemen and women, well, let me say men, because it's mostly men, were in this kind of stuff, into this kind of stuff. you would think that the police will be on their P's and Q's as to what they do to people who they take into custody. Not so. Not so. With the Jordan Payne incident in the air, you would say at least the police would be careful. Obviously, they are not. Pulling a man, he taping you. The tape may incriminate you. You're fighting for the tape. You don't get the tape. You're tasing. That is excessive police behavior. Excessive police behavior. And the key for me here is that given everything that is in the air, you would think that the policemen around the country would at least be cautious about what they do. Obviously, they do not. And that is why we are saying this problem is not an individual police problem. This is a problem of police culture. This is a problem of the system, systemic. This is a problem that is institutional. And this is a problem that affects disproportionately some people. I started by talking about civil rights. The right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. The right to be treated like a human being, human rights. Those are rights all citizens must enjoy according to our Constitution. And if some people do not enjoy those rights, then we reach a point where we make the case that their civil rights are being denied. The civil rights of African Guyanese, the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, the right when in police custody to be treated like human beings. That is a right that is being denied, that has been denied. Poor people in general, but the African Guyanese poor in particular. The Constitution guarantees every citizen those rights. And those who believe in natural rights will argue that we are all, as singing Francine argue, we are all born equal. So we are naturally equal, and we are naturally entitled to those rights. So whether you look at it as natural rights, rights that are given to us by God or nature, or civil rights, as I explained before, the government cannot give those rights, but what the government has to do is to protect those rights. African Guyanese men, poor men, their civil rights must be protected by the government and the state. Clearly in Guyana, the state does not protect the civil rights of the poor, the powerless, and African Guyanese mostly. African Guyanese men. The fact that that individual police, when the question of police accountability is in the air, the fact that that police that is alleged to have tased this man and fight him, the fact that that police did not have the presence of mind to say, oh Jesus, this thing is in the air, I can't do this, says to us that the problem is not the individual, but it is the individual within the context of the institution. If someone were to beat that individual's son, like he did, that man, allegedly, if someone were to tase his son in the same circumstance, he would beat the hell out of that person. But he feels he can do it because he wears that uniform. Bob Marley calls it the uniform of brutality. I am not in no way excusing the behavior of individual policemen. At that level, those individual policemen have to bear responsibility. They have to face the music, they have to face the law. But to give the impression that that policeman or the policemen involved in the Jordan Payne incident or the Orrin Boston incident or the Adriana Young incident or the Fodjene incident, there's so many. The Quindon Bacchus incident. To give the impression that those policemen are an aberration or they are an exception is to paint the wrong picture. They are not exceptions. And in many cases, they are victims of the system. Because the government and the state has an uncanny way of turning a blind eye to black on black violence. It has nothing to do with we. If the black police beating black people, they won't have time to beat our supporters. They won't have time to disobey unjust orders from the state and the government, from the government. So in an uncanny and a racist way, the PPP government has little incentive to stop police misbehavior, especially when it comes to the poor and the darkest among us, the poorest and the darkest. You see, sometimes one has to explain these things. A policeman doesn't get up in the morning and say, I'm going to work today to beat up a black man. He doesn't. But when he puts on that uniform, he's not individual John or Tom. That uniform represents power, represents the authority to get people to do things that they would not normally do. No, not my terms, eh? Authority. That authority comes from the state. The state has the power. And the state transfers that power to the policeman, gives him the authority that if you violate the traffic laws, arrest you. If you violate some law, arrest you. He has the authority to arrest you. Having arrested you, the power to determine what happens from there on is the power of the state. The laws now kick in. The Constitution now kick in. How you, the police, must use the authority given to you. You have to use that authority within the context of rules and laws and customs. If you fail to do so, you who are supposed to uphold the law, to protect the rights of people that you arrest, you are now in violation and subject to the power of the state. So when a policeman wakes up in the morning, doesn't say, I'm going to beat up some black man, I'm going to kill a black man named Jordan Payne, I'm going to pull in a man for traffic offense and tase him. He goes out to work theoretically with the understanding that his job is to protect and serve. The job of the police is to protect the citizens, to serve us. But in the process of carrying out his function or her function, the policeman must weigh the consequences of misbehavior. Misbehavior is a human quality. As human beings, we misbehave. And that is why we have rules and laws to keep us in line from misbehavior. And so when the policeman puts on that uniform, he must think about the law. He must think about the rules. He must think about the rights of the citizens. Failure to do so means that he or she is in clear violation of the law, clear violation of the rights of the citizens. I can tell you what that gentleman who testified today mentions happens every single day in police stations across this country. Every single day. Every single day. Because the system that Dexter Todd and Paul Slow talked about on Friday, that needs overhaul, that needs change, complete change. This system permits it. As that gentleman said, the policeman who he encountered should either not be in the job or should be taught to do his job properly. I am sure when policemen and women go to training school, they are being trained to be policemen, to protect and serve. I'm certain of that. But having been trained, they have to operate in an institution and in an environment. And it's the institution and the environment, the system, that determines ultimately how a policeman or woman operates. And that is why we are paying more attention to the system, the institution, than the individual policeman. It is not that the individual policeman is not culpable or the individual policeman should not bear responsibility, but that individual policeman is not operating in a vacuum. He is operating within an institution called the police force and within a political system. The police force is operating within a political system that has been spawned by the PPP since 1992. You see, there is democracy and there is democracy. There is government and there is regime. The PPP has used the purse string money to corrupt the institutions of this country. And they have paid particular attention for those institutions that are populated mostly by the ethnic group that they see as the ethnic group that supports their political adversary. In real terms, they have they've corrupted all institutions. But the ones that come for special target are the ones that Black people control. Especially the military institutions. Dr. Jagan remarked, after being ousted from office in 1964, or even before he was ousted, said the PPP is in office but not in power. They don't control the army, they don't control the police. Janet Jagan resigned as Minister of Home Affairs because she said the police was not taking instructions from her. Some history there. And so when the PPP returned to power in 1992, they made it their business. They made it a priority to find ways to control the army, the police, the other paramilitary organization, and the public service. Because when they were in power between 57 and 64, the public service did not cooperate with them. People remember the 80-day strike. And they never forgive public servants. And so when they came back to power, part of their modus operandi was to take control institutionally of those institutions and not allow themselves to be in office but not in power. They first tried by encouraging East Indians to join the army and the police. for cultural reasons, for sociological reasons, East Indians didn't take them on. Perhaps East Indians felt that they couldn't work for the money that police and army work for. But I think in a deeper way, protection of the country is not something that runs through the Indian psyche. And so trying to get Indians to get into the army en masse or the police en masse failed because sociologically, they're not inclined. There are some jobs that Africans sociologically are not inclined to rush to. And so Indians have never shown an inclination to join the army and the police. And so that didn't fly. So the next ploy was to take over the leadership of the army and the police. And while you are taking over the leadership of the army and the police, you are signaling to the rank and file African that, look, if you behave bad, we're going to turn a blind eye. We're going to give you a little thing at the end of the year. We know corruption going on in the police force. You get in trouble for beating up a man or killing a man, you're going to get off. And so over time, the leadership of the police force and the army began to realize what time of day it is. And so they began to subject themselves to the political dictates of the PPP. Remember, I said, Janet Jagan resigned, I think in 1963, as Minister of Home Affairs because she said the leadership of the police was not carrying out our instructions. So now back in power, the PPP set out to ensure that the leadership of the police force obey their political instructions. And so what they've done is politicize the top of the police force. And part of the incentive to allow yourself to be politicized is that you will be protected from bad behavior in the police force. I mean, look at them hundreds of charge, tens of charge that they put on Brutus. You tell me that they know that Brutus was committing all these offenses all the time? I'm sure they knew. And if it is true that Brutus committed these offenses, was he not committing these offenses with the full knowledge that I am not likely to be punished? That is the scenario. People don't wake up in the morning and say, the police don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to kill somebody, I'm on this. But they're open to behaving that way. You talk to the average policeman, he knows that you don't go into enterprise and beat up an Indian. You're going to get a call from a top PPP man, or the people in enterprise will beat you, as they did in Bushlat, as they did in Bad Settlement during the 2020 election. You all bear with me. The policeman knows that when he goes into an Indian area and do what he does in an African area, they will bust his ass. And they've shown that. But he knows if he were to do that to an African, he won't get his ass bust. But more than that, if there's a fatality, he is going to be protected. Sometimes, we protest. We protest. And we say we want the policeman to be charged. And what they do is they put a bad charge on the policeman, knowing that there is no evidence or little evidence, and the policeman will get off. Oh, strain by. You gotta go through this thing. But eventually you're gonna get off. So it's very clear. The police knows if he goes into an Indian area and beat up some Indians, the Indian community will bust their ass. Look at them on election day, they were running. But you go into an African area and you do it. Even if they were to, in the African community, if they were to erupt, the policeman wouldn't give it a chance. He will shoot, start shooting before they erupt. It is not that Indians are better than Africans or Africans are better than Indians, but the state is prepared to protect the human rights, the civil rights of Indians in a way that it is not prepared to protect the civil rights and human rights of Africans. Why? Africans don't generally vote for them. Secondly, is African police killing African young men. Black people business. And so we have this enormous problem on our hands. It's not the beating up and the killing of the individual Africans represents the occasion for the problem, the symptom of the problem. Symptom of the problem, not the problem. The problem is the institution, the politicization, the criminalization, the corruption of the institution called the police force, aligned with a political system that is run like a gangster affair. Laws, we live in a political system in which laws and rights are not protected equally. Some rules to some rules to other. Even the market, sometimes you go to some markets, I have been the victim of that. I stood up one morning and saw the vendor give one price for an Indian man, and then when I come, give me a different price. A man was standing there, he recognized me and he cautioned the vendor. He said, "You know who this man is?" I hope better I may know him. That's why I sell him the price. But the price make you the right price. I know him, so I give him one low price. I wasn't angry at the vendor. I was angry. I am angry at a political system that permits that kind of behavior, that sees this skin color as inferior and should be treated as inferior. Somebody remarked to me a couple of days ago that they were moved by my presentation when Dr. Rupert Roop-Naraine died and was buried, and they were moved by my tribute to him. And I explained to the person that I feel an extra obligation to people like Rupert Roop-Naraine, people like the Indians who belong to the APNU, because I know the enormous risk they're taking by standing on the side of Black people, even when they don't say it. And I don't think they have to say it. It's Black people who must say that we are being discriminated against and who must lead the fight. But I respect Indians who muster the courage, the moral courage, the political courage to stand on our side. And even if they don't say, I'm standing with African Guyanese, the fact that they belong to organizations that we are the majority of, I feel a special obligation to them. But ultimately, Black people have to solve this problem. This problem has to be solved at the institutional level, the political level. And thirdly, it has to be settled at the level of the community. Black people have to stop producing Black boys who put on uniform to kill Black people. Simple. We know that when they put on that uniform, they go through changes. But we have, at a basic community level, we have to draw the line. We cannot continue to be producing Black men who go and get trained to kill Black men. We have to do something before they get that training. Simple as that. It has to stop. At some point, we have to stop producing these boys. We send boys into the police force. We send boys into the army. We send boys and girls into the public service. We send them into the teaching service. We send them to be nurses. And if we produce teachers who are going to miseducate our children, then we are going to be angry. If we produce nurses and doctors who are going to kill our people, then we are going to be angry. And by the same token, we have to be angry if we are producing boys and sending them into the police force to put on that uniform and kill their brother and kill their son. We have to be angry about it. And insofar as we are not angry about it, the government and the state will have no incentive to direct it to be stopped. Take my word, if the PPP government wants to stop extrajudicial killing in this country or minimize it, they can do so tomorrow. They have the power of the state to do it. And they don't have to go and beat anybody up or lock anybody up. The state has the threat of force. They can stop it. But they have no incentive to stop it. And the only incentive they're going to get to stop it is when the Black community put its foot down. And you begin to put your foot down by socializing young black men to love their race. This nonsense that black people go on with about we are all human race and not recognizing, yes, we're all human beings. But as African people, we are not treated as equal beings, and we have to start teaching our little children about that so that when they become policemen and women, they have a consciousness, a black consciousness. That's where you start. You can't want them to become black conscious when you don't teach them that at home. You don't teach them in the school. You don't teach them in the street corner. And then you put a gun in their hand. And when they act unconscious, then you get mad at them. Black people, you all got to wake up to what's happening in this country. I'm tired of saying to black people, you are violating no law by saying, I love myself. I love my race. I didn't create race. I didn't create a hierarchy of difference. It was created by others. And all I'm doing is protecting it. I did not create race. Race was created on the backs of our foreparents, on their labor, unpaid labor. It is out of that that race was created. And where we are getting off by saying we don't concern about race, that is backwardness at the highest level. I'm not saying to you, put on some dashiki and go out on the road and say black power and so on, but in the quiet of your home, teach your children to love themselves because other ethnic groups are doing exactly that. So this revolution, in terms of police bad behavior, has to be tackled at those three levels. At the level of the black community, which is the community that is producing these bad behaved policemen, and the community that is the victim of that bad behavior. You have good reason to stop producing the raw material for your own beating and murdering. And then we have to change the institution. But the institution, the police institution by itself would not change until it has the incentive. And it is the state that has the power to stop the policemen. Just as you black people have the power to stop it by start socializing a different kind of African, the state has the power to stop it. The state are the guardians of the Constitution, the guardians of the law, the guardian of the rights. But that government and state ain't gonna act on behalf of black people until black people make them act. And you make them act with what you have at your disposal. You have the vote. And if you use your vote stupidly, you get stupid results. And you have the power of the streets. If you worry with your leaders and stay off the streets, you get what you're looking for. You have to force your leaders to go to the streets. And it's only when you do that that this government is going to listen to you. And so the institution of the police force will change on pressure from two places: pressure from the state and pressure from the Black community. That's what's going to change the police force and police behavior. And the state is not going to act. The state never acts. Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. If you want change, you have to demand it. And you demand it with your vote or with your bodies on the street. Why can't I roam this open space as Bob Marley? But if we Black people want to do stupidness with our votes, and we want to sit in some corner and say, we ain't going on the road because we're going to lose something, when you're losing your lives. Sometimes we have to talk frankly. We're the only race that are talking about splitting our votes. Some of our leaders have erred big time, splitting the vote, split the vote. We're looking for some minority government. No, we want a government that's going to respect the human rights, the civil rights of our people, all of our people. No minority government. It's that nonsense that we get into that have us this way, where we are sitting ducks to be shot. We don't recognize the relationship between politics and sociology, between politics and political culture, between politics and rights. We say politics is politics. Election is election. No, election determines what the hell you become after the election. You win, you get a shot. You lose every damn thing. And so when you're thinking about politics, you think about if you win, but also if you lose. And that's where we as leaders are failing our people. We march them down an electoral altar, and they lost big time, and they're left out there to hang, and our leaders have gone back to their normal lives and left the shit for some of us. By the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and where we wept. Watching today, Black brothers and sisters in Trinidad, Spiritual Baptist Day, have a big march, the Spiritual Baptists. Hundreds of people, thousands of people marching as Spiritual Baptists in Trinidad. They fought for that holiday. We got Spiritual Baptists here. We don't call them Spiritual Baptists, but it's the same spiritualist, faithist people. But they're not taken to the road like their brothers and sisters in Trinidad and demanding a holiday and beating their drums and marching through the streets. This country, Guyana, got to wake up, and Black people in particular have to get the hell up. Sometimes we have to talk tough. Black Americans call it tough love, because we love you all. I love you all. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love you. You gotta love yourself. That's what Marcus Garvey says. The first law, the first social law is self-love. Marcus Messiah Garvey. We black people get to love, but sometimes it takes us all kind of detours to get there. They got to beat we, bust we tail before we get to the point of one love. $1.5 trillion and you're demanding a couple million? You're crazy. You're crazy. All that you can demand is a million, 2 million, 3 million. You're crazy. But you can only demand more if your leaders, your representatives are sitting at that goddamn table to decide how that money is being spent. And when you disempower them, they have no seat at the table and you are left out there for them to bust your ass. Brother asked me last night at a function that I was. Let me say happy birthday to Kerry, one of my friends in the village, differently abled man, but one of the legends of our village. And legends are people who you talk about when they're alive and when they're dead. And he's a differently abled man who is a better citizen than so many of us. He had his family had a 60th birthday for him last night and we were all there. And I said a few words. Gentleman called me afterward. I don't think he's a villager. Called me aside and he said, Dr. Hines, with all that going on, you think we can ever get the PPP out of office? And at one level, I said it's a profound question. At another level, it is not so profound a question because the PPP will eventually go. The human element doesn't tolerate things like what the PPP is doing forever. And Dr. King said the moral arc bends toward justice eventually. Those are truisms. And so ultimately the PPP will go. The problem, my dear brothers and sisters, African brothers, Amerindian brothers, East Indian poor people, the question is when they're finished and they go, what they will leave behind. Their imprint, their faces will be imprinted on the landscape of Guyana in the most negative way. They will have to go eventually because the moral arc bends eventually towards justice. Because human beings ultimately will rise up and throw off tyranny, ultimately. But by then, with $1.5 trillion per year, imagine you spend that in 10 years, in 15 years, what you do to the landscape of this country. You are gonna get up and get people. Gotta stop this chatting. Nonsense. People on Facebook cussing down people who want to take money from who and on. That's what is now passing for politics. When the police is killing the shit out of black people. I was reading today, they picked the Guyana cricket team. They leave out Kevin Sinclair and Ali Mohammed, Ronaldo Anil Mohammed, two sure picks in the Guyana team. And they're left out. And I read the comments under the post. Comments from Africans, from East Indians, from others, I am certain. Almost 99% saying it's discrimination. The blacks, all of them are saying it's racial discrimination. Even some Indians are saying it's racial discrimination. But you ask yourself, you have permitted racial discrimination politically. Why are you surprised if it seeps down into cricket? You allow it to happen politically. You allow it to happen every day because you don't want to say black people are easily discriminated in this country. But you love cricket. And they discriminate against two of your favorite cricketers. And it's only now you see that it's racial in this country. I don't know whether it's racism that has kept Sinclair and Ali Mohammed out. I don't know that. But what I do know is that the system in this country is as racist as hell and is most racist against black people.